for battle because America is worth fighting for. This is the Keith Lee Show. Bare-knuckled, no holds barred, and unapologetic. Here's your host, Keith Lee.
And welcome to a brand new episode of the Keith Lee Show. It is time to kick some ass. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. We are now just 22 days away. I mean, damn, this year has gone by fast. With Corona, COVID lockdowns, stay in your apartment, don't go outside of your house, don't kill grandma. This year has gone by like a flash. I mean, I remember celebrating, Happy New Year, smoochy, liquor, go crazy. But now we're just 22 days away from taking back the country, taking back the culture from the left, stopping the racist, anti-American morons of Antifa and Black Lives Matter and oppression and horrible this and that and the other. 22 days away from stopping that. So before we get started, if you are watching us on YouTube, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for joining us here. If you're listening to us on the podcast, we're available on iHeartRadio, the #1 commercial podcast publisher in the world, Stitcher, Amazon Music now. I think we're on Amazon Music, and obviously on Apple. So if you like what you're hearing there, please be sure to like and subscribe, leave your feedback. We thank you guys for joining us. If you are listening to us on the podcast, consider coming over to YouTube. Just type in The Keith Lee Show, and you will find us. If you would like more information, you can reach me at www.thekeithleeshow.com. That's www.thekeithleeshow.com. You could also follow me on Twitter at The Real Keith Lee and on Facebook at The Keith Lee Show. I think I hit it right. That's pretty good. You know, producer JJ always has to remind me. I never pitch it. You know, I remember to pitch it sometimes, and like half the time I'm waiting to the end of the episode. But you know, now look, I have it in my notes. So we're being real professional today. Can't be botching this show. You know what I mean? You got to put some good content out for you people. So thanks for joining us. You know, it's funny. The Democrats are really trying everything. They're really trying everything because if the poll numbers were accurate, and I went into a little bit of the poll numbers last week, I shared with you some of my concerns, and I do have concerns. I mean, look, if you're not concerned, then what are you going to do? You're going to stay at home, right? You're not going to have any motivation whatsoever to go out there and vote, and we don't need that right now. Anybody who stays at home, if you're saying, hey, listen, you know what? I don't feel like, I get it. See, the thing about Republicans, we work. We actually work. Right, you go to work, you know, you earn a living, right? You got to pay your mortgage, you got to feed your kids, you got to put some clothes on the crumb snatcher's back, you got to do all that stuff, right? So obviously we know these leftist morons, you know, they're too busy spending their parents' money. You know, we see that here in New York, by the way. Here in New York, you go to some of these high-rise buildings, right? And you see like this little snot-nosed kid out of nowhere. This kid's like fucking 19 years old. And I'm like, how the hell is he affording a studio in the city? You know, a studio in the city is like $4,000. All right. But I'm like, all right, what's this kid doing, you know, to afford that studio? And he'll say, oh, I'm an Instagram influencer. I'm a YouTube influencer. Now, look, there are those people out there who, you know, they got millions of followers. And millions of followers, you can get millions of dollars being an influencer. You check out some of these kids. They got like fucking, you know, 20,000 followers. They may make like $2 on one of their advertisements, but yet they're paying $4,000 a month for an apartment. And then you start looking at some of the financial documents. Oh, mommy and daddy is guaranteeing that lease. Very interesting. So then after he moves into the apartment, right? All right, when that's all said and done, you hang up the nice flat screen TV, you get your Uber Eats, you got some shitty furniture. Then he makes his way down to Union Square on 14th Street to start protesting white supremacy and white privilege and racism. Very interesting. Oh, and by the way, he also hates capitalism. Right? Capitalism. His mommy and daddy made mad money, paying for him to live in a wonderful apartment, but he's going to have the nerve to bitch and moan about capitalism. That's what we have here in New York. So we got to push back against morons like that. But with that being that little diatribe to start the show, the fact is, if the president were really losing as badly as the media likes to suggest, if the president is going to leave the White House with his tail between his legs, if this election was really a repudiation of Donald Trump and white supremacy, why does the left have to lie to people so damn much? Why do they have to lie so much? You know, if things were going gangbusters, then we wouldn't keep hearing about the 25th Amendment. Oh, my God. If Amy Coney Barrett is elected to the highest court of the land, she's going to take away your rights. You know, women are going to go back to doing their job of cooking food for their husbands and raising their kids. So, you know, black people, forget about it. You know, you think this is your last time voting. I'm telling you right now, because if you don't vote, you know, they're going to put y'all back in chains. Our voting rights are going to completely go away. So now they're whipping out all the stops to prevent this president from having another 4 years. And the thing is, I think the left knows exactly what's going on. We have a story that I'll get to in a few minutes in the New York Post, and it talks about the enthusiasm that the president has with his voters compared to the lack of enthusiasm Joe Biden has with his voters. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And so as we're starting off today, it's happening right now as we speak. We're having the first hearings for Amy Coney Barrett. And, you know, this is really interesting. Before we even go into that, why can't Joe Biden answer the question about packing the Supreme Court seriously? Why can't he give an honest answer? Every single time he's asked, I'm not going to say anything about it. If I say anything about it, that will become the story. That's going to become the story. But he's been asked like 3 or 4 times. Now, the media never says, okay, well, it's a follow-up, Mr. Biden. Can you please answer my colleague's question? That's a game they play with the president, right? The president, you know, is somebody like, you know, I don't know who it is, Jim Acosta from CNN, who asked the president some dumbass question. The president completely gives it to him. And then the next person who picks up the microphone, to follow up on my colleague, Jim Acosta. They don't do that with Joe Biden. He starts off saying, the president's trying to distract away from what's happening with coronavirus. Okay, Mr. Vice President, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, you know, you're just doing so well. You're doing so well. So Biden was asked over the weekend, can you please answer the damn question? Voters are asking for it. Listen to what Joe Biden had to say. And as you're listening to this, can you just imagine what the left will be doing if the president answered any question, the way Joe Biden answers this question? Check this out.
About packing the courts. And I know that you said yesterday you aren't going to answer the question until after the election. But this is the number one thing that I've been asked about from viewers in the past couple of days.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans who don't want me continuing to talk about what they're doing to the court right now.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know where you stand?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game. He'd love me to.
The voters don't deserve to know his decision on packing the court. Could you imagine if the president said that? Could you imagine the shitstorm that's going to be out there if the president said anything like that? But no, Joe Biden, okay, that's okay. You sound so great, so presidential, Mr. Vice President. Let's continue.
Talk about, and I've already said something on court pack. He'd love that to be the discussion instead of what he's doing now. He's about to make a pick in the middle of an election. First time it's ever been done. First time in history it's ever been done.
Sir, I've got to ask
you. You know, it's funny. So Joe Biden's lying again, by the way. So not only is he not answering the question honestly, right? The voters don't. Who the hell do you think you are? I don't give a damn if you're going to vote for me. You don't have to know anything about me. F you. That's Joe Biden. But by the way, at the end of that clip, Joe Biden says, nothing like this has been done in history. The president nominating a new justice of the Supreme Court as we're going into an election year. That's a lie, by the way. That's a lie. And not only is it a lie, it's a lie that the left keeps peddling, that the media keeps peddling, because the intention is that you are stupid. You're not paying attention. You're not following this every day back and forth like most of us are. Hey, you know, that's my job. So I'm going to pay attention to the ins and outs of what's happening in the media. I'm going to pay attention to the lies. And then we come here on this show and we debunk those lies. So Joe Biden says that's never happened in history. Well, there have been 29 different occasions where this has happened in history. But you're not going to hear that from the mainstream media because why? They want Joe Biden to win. Really, the president's a real liar. You can go right to National Review. There's a great article from Dan McLaughlin in National Review. And he studied this. He studied this for a very long time. Supreme Court nominations. In 19 cases, the president's party held the Senate. 17 out of the 19 vacancies were filled. The exceptions being the bipartisan filibuster against Lyndon Johnson's nominees in 1968 and George Washington's withdrawal and resubmission in the next Congress of a nominee who was ineligible to be confirmed. 9 of those 17 were confirmed before the election and 8 after. 3 were confirmed in lame duck post-election sessions, even though the president had just lost re-election. In 10 cases, the party opposing the president held the Senate. Only 1 of the 10 got a nominee confirmed before the election. 2 were confirmed after the election when the president's party won the election. And 1, this is Dwight Eisenhower, was a pre-election recess appointment that was confirmed by the new Senate in the new year after Eisenhower was reelected. Now, it is, however, true that none of the nominees confirmed before the election passed was confirmed past July. That is true. Now, again, it's politics. It is politics. But if you listen to what the great Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, the president is the president for 4 years and not 3.5 years. So this whole notion that, let the people choose, let the people choose. The people have chosen. That's why the people elected Donald Trump. He's still the president. I'm looking at my calendar today. It's October 12th. Okay? And even if the president were to lose, the president is still the president until January. Now, I'm not a big constitutional scholar, but I know that much. You know that much, right? Well, now you know because I just told you. But but here's the reason why. Here's the reason why you haven't had that many cases after mid-July. You want to know why? Not because the president was so honorable, he wanted the people to decide. Well, back in the old days, the Senate would have been out of session. Aha. Now, if you go back to what Kamala Harris said about nominating a justice in a election year, she brought up old Honest Abe Lincoln. And Honest Abe didn't dare elevate someone to the court because it was an election year. And Honest Abe, as Kamala said with her fake ass grin on her face. You ever see that? It's like, what is up with these liberal women? None of them are likable, by the way. None of them are likable. They walk around, they want absolute power. They got stupid looks in their face. And then when nobody likes them, the consultants come at them and say, hey, Hillary, hey, Kamala, people are a little bit uneasy. They see that look in your face. You kind of talk real nasty. You're a little bit shrill. You got this disgusting, like, fake-ass cackle. Cackle. Whatever they're asked the question. So then they say, what we got to do? We got to win over those independents. We have to win over those soccer moms. So you know what you do? When you're speaking, you got to have this real toothy grin like this. See? Like this, like the grin, right? The grin, you can't just open up the corners of your mouth. You gotta bring the grin all the way to your earlobes. Like you ever go look up a Cheshire cat when it's like, So then now when she's talking, and we saw Hillary Clinton do the same spiel, the same shtick. She's talking and she has to fake a smile on her face. So she's like, Honest Abe, who was a Republican, by the way. Honest Abe wouldn't dare nominate someone to the Supreme Court in an election year. So you should be doing the same thing because look, Honest Abe did it. But what she neglected to mention, either because she's a liar or she didn't know, it's a 50-50 chance, who knows? She didn't tell you that the Senate was out of session. It was once common for the Senate to be out of session for much of the summer and the fall, leaving aside cases where a nomination was already made and rejected before mid-July. There have been 6 cases where a vacancy opened or was unresolved between mid-July and the election. All right, so those are the facts. If you hear Joe Biden say it again, that this has never happened before in history, just know that he's lying. He's lying, and he's hoping you're not paying attention. When you hear the media out there saying it again, because they're going to parrot this. Let me tell you, this whole week that we're going to be sitting through these hearings for Amy Coney Barrett, you're going to hear the same thing brought up over and over again, that this is unprecedented. This has never been done before. Why would the president do that? The president's so concerned. He's hoping that if Amy Coney Barrett, how do you, like, what's the three names? Oh, my God, the damn three names. Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Amy Coney Barrett, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know she gets pissed if you don't say it that way. If you were to say Alexandria Cortez, oh, you racist prick. How dare you only use use two of my three names? I can't stand that. You know, look, I have a middle name. I'm not walking around here saying, yes, yeah, Keith Gerard Lee. Yes, Keith Gerard Lee. If you don't call me by that name, don't you know who I am? But Amy Barrett, as she's sitting through the hearings this week, you're going to hear how this is unprecedented, that the president's only doing this for politics. What is it not for politics? Seriously. But we have a new case in gaslighting the American public. So, as we started the show, we played the video for you just now, that Joe Biden doesn't want to answer the question about packing the court. Now, that seems to be the platform of the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer is in favor of packing the court. Nancy Pelosi seems to be in favor of packing the court. You know what, the real whack jobs on the left, they love that. They want to pack the court with 20 liberal justices, right? Hey, just go ahead. Have at it. Joe Biden doesn't want to answer the question because it could only be one of two things. Now, the media would say, well, dear old Uncle Joe, he's a moderate. And he's not really for packing the courts. Now, he won't say that. We never heard him say that. But he's not really for packing the courts, but he doesn't want to really come out and say it definitively because he doesn't want to lose the left. He doesn't want to lose the AOCs of the world, the Ilhan Omars of the world, the Antifas of the world. Now, I tend to think it's the opposite. I think Joe Biden has been completely co-opted by the left. Look at who he chose as the vice president. Kamala Harris is probably the most radical, not probably, she is the most radical vice presidential nominee in history. Joe Biden's platform is the most leftist platform out of any presidential candidate in history. Okay? We know Joe Biden wants to pack the court. And because poll numbers show Americans don't want to upend this system, because the Supreme Court is not supposed to be political. The Supreme Court is not about creating laws. The Supreme Court is about interpreting law, looking at precedent. Sometimes the Supreme Court sets new precedent, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. But now, there's a new tactic. Since the poll numbers have come out that the American people don't support packing the court, now we have to reshape and remold the idea, the phraseology of packing the court. You know, let's try this one on for size, because these people, they're not paying attention. These Republican hicks, right? And, you know, our constituents, they're too stupid too. Why don't we try this? Why don't we reframe the message and say the Republicans are the ones packing the court? Now, you might say, what? The hell's this guy talking about? Yes. Because now we have to change the definition. Instead of the definition being what it is, adding new justices to the Supreme Court, expanding the court from 9 justices to 15, 16, 20 justices. No. The Republicans have been packing the Supreme Court because every time they have an opportunity, every time a Republican president has an opportunity, he nominates a conservative justice. So you get it now. They're the ones packing the court. That when the president fulfills his constitutional right to name someone to the court when somebody dies or somebody retires, because the president puts a conservative justice, or what we hope is a conservative justice up there, that's really packing the court. So that's a new tactic. Isn't it great? The Democrats are so clever, right? No, just completely change the phrasing. If it's phrased correctly, then the dupes won't understand what we're trying to do to them. The dupes are just, these matters are just too complicated, way too sophisticated for the hicks in America. And it's not just this. I'll play Dickless Durbin from Chicago. I'm gonna play his video in just a moment. But there's many cases where we see the left constantly changing phrases, changing the meaning of words. So you notice when it comes to abortion. Now, if people were to pay attention and you say, well, what is abortion? Now, we all know what abortion is. You're killing babies. You're murdering harmless, little, innocent babies. Now, let's look at it for what it is. If you had a baby, the baby was born, and somebody came along and snuffed that kid out, in the crib a couple of days after he was born, isn't that murder? That would be murder. People say, oh my God, how horrible and how disgusting it is, because it is horrible and disgusting. But if it's abortion, we can't call it that, because abortion still has a little negative connotation to it. Those Bible thumpers out there, they've done a very good job at framing the message of abortion. So let's just remove the word altogether. Let's get rid of that. Why don't we call it, I got it. Reproductive health. Yes, reproductive health. I like that one. Because if you were to listen, folks, right, think about this for a second. Let's think about this logically. If you're not paying attention to politics, you go to work, you're doing your thing, you're taking care of your family, maybe you're single, and you want to go and, date abroad, take her out to a restaurant, spend money and to get no action later. At the end of the day, no pussy. The fact is, that's what happens. Hey, listen, that's what happens. You say, I'm not gonna go. I'll get you some dating tips in the future, but I don't spend money on chicks. We go Dutch until she proves herself. You know what I'm saying? Even after that, listen. I ain't coughing up mad dough. You can relax on that. But you see, if you are living your life and you hear this phrase, reproductive health, what does that mean to you? What would the first thought be that would come to your mind? Reproductive health. Now, for me, I would think, okay, that's a woman who is thinking about having children, and she's going to her gynecologist, and she's meeting with her experts overall and trying to make sure everything is good down there. You know what I'm saying? Why you don't want to go through the process, your husband's slamming you real good every night, and then no kid pops out. I mean, that's embarrassing, and it's also quite devastating. So reproductive health, but no. That's not what reproductive health means. Reproductive health is a very benign way of saying a wholesale murder of little babies. That's what it is. You see? And it's not just that. When we talk about inequality, we talk about, it's critical race theory. Who wouldn't want to talk about diversity in the workplace? So they play the game with that. And we saw Chris Wallace try to trip up the president in the first presidential debate. The president wants to remove the requirement for government workers to sit down and have a bunch of flat black chicks come in there and start complaining about racism all day. And so the president says, you know what, we're not going to spend money on that. What the hell is this? I'm going to pull some video. I'll try to do it maybe for Wednesday's episode. Where I'll actually show you some clips about critical race theory, right? And so the media will try to frame it as, this is a diversity training. What's wrong with that? Don't you want your workplace to be diverse? Don't you want people from all colors and stripes and creeds to feel comfortable in the workplace? So now why would the president want to remove funding? Why would the president want to stop that practice? That shows he's a racist. But then again, when you start digging deep, you have two black chicks come in there, start talking about, hey, just because you're white, that means you're evil. Even if you could have a bunch of black kids walking around, all right? A bunch of little nigglets walking around. You know what I'm saying? You're taking care of you adopted a kid from Ethiopia. You adopted a kid from Jamaica. Little ganja. You're hanging out with the kid, right? Boom, baklad. But then they'll still say that you're a dirty racist because your skin color. You don't know, right? Just because you're privileged. When you came out of that white womb, you were immediately granted millions of dollars and mansions, and all the doors are opened up to you. Now, you and I know that's BS, but that's what happens in a critical race theory class. The Democrats always try to reframe the message because they know if people were to actually know what's going on, if people were actually able to know the ramifications of their policies, then the Democrats would never win another election. That's what it is. That's what it is. They constantly do this. And I'm like, I've been wrestling with this for a while. You know, I all weekend I'm like, man, all of these lies the Democrats tell are easily debunkable. I mean, you could easily just go online and even go into Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia, that's always edited by people, by leftists. But even leftists have a hard time covering up the lie if you're just talking about the facts. They might try to reframe the facts, but the facts are still there. But I'm like, how can people constantly fall for this? How can people constantly listen to the left and just walk away and say, well, you know what? If Joe Biden's saying it, it must be true. If Nancy Pelosi's saying it, it must be true. There's no critical thinking at all. That's what it seems to be. I'm like, damn. I mean, because look, it could only be one of two things. Either you're just patently ignorant or you're a fucking retard. I mean, so which one is it? Now, look, I'll give you benefit of the doubt. Yeah, maybe you're not paying attention. Okay, maybe you're a busy person. But I'm like, my God, in every single circumstance, whatever the media claims or whatever the left claims, and they're the same, whatever they claim the president's doing, it's really a projection of what they're doing. When they're talking about backroom deals, the president owes mad money to different outside banks, into international banks. Well, where are those banks? Could it be Russian banks? Could it be Russian lenders? Is the president in league with Russia? But then we hear, well, listen, Hunter Biden received $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow. If there was a direct connection between the president and anybody in Russia, you know, some guy who was a janitor in an office building in downtown Moscow, they would say, there's proof. There's proof of the president colluding with the Russians. The media says nothing about this. And I'm going to go into deeper detail later. We talk about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton completely fabricated the entire thing. We learned this last week. That she went out there, she hired this guy, Christopher Steele, to put together this crappy dossier. It was completely premeditated, but the FBI still ran with it. The president had to sit through 3.5 years of an investigation, $40 million down the drain, $40 million of your money completely burned away because of the lies that have been told by the left. But in almost every single case, in almost every single circumstance, whatever the left says that we're doing or that the president's doing as a whole, they're telling you exactly what it is they are doing. So take a look at this clip right here with Dickless Durbin from Illinois. I'm surprised he even made it to the interview. I mean, you got like 50 people a weekend get a shot in Chicago. But take a listen to Dick Durbin.
Vice President Biden used the phrase court packing. Was that a tell of where the vice president stands on this, that he doesn't want to see this happen?
Well, I can tell you that we're getting this question. It's a common question being asked because American people have watched the Republicans pack in the court over the last 3.5 years, and they brag about it. They've taken every vacancy and filled it. Did you know that?
Wait. Let me transition. So wait a minute. You heard what he said. They've taken every vacancy and filled it. Again, if you're listening to that, and you're a Democrat, and you're listening to Dick Durbin, and you're saying, yeah, right on, Dick. Right on. Yeah, man. The Republican presidents have taken every vacancy and filled it. If you're celebrating that and you say, man, Dick Durbin just really hit home, then you're a moron. You're a freaking retard. Because the president has a right to fulfill a vacancy. That's what the Constitution says. But now, yes, that's really packing the courts. I mean, we should be running away with this. We should be running away with this. But again, I think it shows how weak they are. Because Biden is a bum. I mean, it's so sad to see this guy, this old man walking around. Oh my God, what day is it? Oh, it's Friday? No, Vice President, it's Monday. Oh no, I'm so confused. But they have to lie like this all the time. I mean, it's pretty sad. And I think it says a lot about what the Democrats think of their constituents. Let's listen to the rest of this clip from Dick Durbin.
They've sent us, and we have approved only with their votes, I might add, 10 people who have been judged unanimously unqualified by the American Bar Association. Do you know how many judicial nominees came from Obama who were judged unanimously unqualified? None.
Okay, that last statement right there is another outright lie. That whoever Republican presidents in the past have nominated, none of them have received the blessings of the ABA, the American Bar Association. But look at this. Breaking news from just this morning from the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association Standing Committee on the Federal Judiciary has completed its evaluation of the professional qualifications of Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who has been nominated by the president to be an Associate Justice on the Supreme Court of the United States. As you know, the Standing Committee confines its evaluation to the qualities of integrity, professional competence, and judicial temperament. A substantial majority of the Standing Committee determined that Judge Barrett is well qualified. Okay? The majority rating represents the Standing Committee's official rating. Dick Durbin just lied. And not only has Amy Coney Barrett received this endorsement from the ABA, but many other Republican judges in the past, such as Neil Gorsuch. Now, the media is not going to follow up and say, hey, Dick Durbin, do you want to retract that statement? Are you sure? Because it's easy. It's all drive-by media. Oh, nobody's paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. They're absolutely losing it, folks. The Democrats are losing it. They were holding out hope. Oh, my God. If only RBG. If only she could just survive till November. Oh, my God. Putting all their hopes and prayers and everything in RBG until the old bitch croaks. Then I would say, oh, my God, no, I can't believe it happened. Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. It's horrible. Her dying wish. Oh, her deathbed. Oh, it's my fervent wish that the next president pick my replacement. Dead. Sorry, folks. The president is still the president. Even if, God forbid, he was voted out in November, his term doesn't end in November. It ends in January. And let's stop playing games. Stop playing games. Do you really believe that if Obama was the president right now, or if Hillary Clinton, corporate corrupt Hillary Clinton was the president right now, do you really think the Democrats would be saying anything about this? No. It's all politics. It's all politics. Now, some of the more whack job leftists out there, they're pulling their hair out. Do you know? I have some dirty little secrets for you. Do you know that Amy Coney Barrett is a Christian? Now, the Democrats are making a big deal out of this. She's a Christian. In her personal life, she thinks murdering little innocent, cute little babies is awful. And so now that disqualifies her from the court. And now, listen to this clip. I found a clip today from the always fantastic Joy Behar. It's on The View today. Oh, my God, women are going to lose their rights. You know, she took a break from eating her bagels for a second to slander Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, listen to this clip. I mean, this is just unhinged crap. Check this out.
White panic, a male white panic, and they want to put the clock back. I'm old enough, I remember the 50s, okay? A woman couldn't even get her own credit card in those days. Forget about getting an abortion.
No credit cards.
I had a girlfriend in high school.
You hear that, ladies? No credit cards for you.
Had to fly to Puerto Rico to get an abortion. It was so difficult to get anything in this country at that time that was legal. You had to put your life at risk in those days. The gays were terrified of coming out.
Oh, boy.
You know, this is what they would like to do to the country now, to put their reactionary Rush Limbaugh ideas into the country. And the country is not there.
So it's Rush Limbaugh's fault. Oh, the gays got to be careful. The broads ain't going to be able to get credit cards without their husband's approval. I don't think that's a bad deal. No. Oh, no. Her friend had to fly all the way down to Puerto Rico to kill her baby. No, okay. That's good stuff. Good stuff. But this is the left. This is the left. It's so disgusting. Now, speaking of the disgusting left, that they're pissed off that the president didn't die, by the way. They're pissed off. Right? When the news broke, he got coronavirus. He's 74 years old. He's a big fat bastard. He's going to die. He's going to die. Every single time his doctors came out with a great praise report, he's lying. You can't trust the president's doctors. You can't trust the 9 other doctors that are working with him to help the president. You can't trust any of those people. The president, here we go. We're more than a week into this. The president's looking fantastic. He was on the phone with Rush Limbaugh for over 2 hours on Friday with his virtual tour, his virtual rally, the largest in history on radio, which is fantastic. The president actually sat on another interview looking fantastic with Fox. So now the left is losing their brains. On Saturday Night Live, you had Michael Che, I would say literally pissed off that the president survived. I mean, take a look at this.
Claimed to have survived the coronavirus. Yay. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but it kind of feels like when there's a car crash and the only survivor is the drunk driver.
Oh, boy. That's supposed to be comedy, folks.
Trump said him getting COVID was, quote, a blessing from God. And I bet even God was like, hey, we tried, guys.
I mean, wow. I mean, could you imagine if this was a white comic and he was talking about the fallen Messiah, Obama? Could you imagine what we'd be hearing right now? How this guy's representative of the country. He's wishing death on the country's first and only black president. Could you imagine if the situation were reversed? They hate this man that much that they are openly wishing for his death on TV, national TV. Hey, what do you hear in the background? Oh, clapping it up. Now, how can we be? When have you heard Republicans doing the same thing? How have we gotten to this point in history when you can have people openly wishing for the president's death on TV? Or lamenting the fact that he didn't die from the novel coronavirus? Could you imagine? Just imagine that for a second. Obama. I got the Rona. Oh, no. They'll be all over the media. Will be all over the place right now. Oh, Mr. President, we hope you get better. It's the country's first black president, a historic man. The country's pulling for him. The country was pulling for President Trump, too, but you had never known it. Between all the conspiracy theories, the president's giving his address in front of a green screen. The president's outside on the balcony of the White House with nobody next to him, and he has the nerve to pull off a mask when nobody's standing within 200 feet of the guy. If you follow the president, you are a member of a death cult. As I always say, folks, whatever they say about us is really a representation about who they are. They're always projecting. Do your own research. How many times have you seen Republicans wishing death? How many Republicans wish death on Obama? In fact, if you even had the slightest criticism of that man, you were a racist. The game has changed, folks. Does this look like strength to you? Does this look like a Democrat Party that seems to be running away with this election? I don't think so. This looks pretty effing petty to me. I mean, it's very petty, by the way. Very petty. Every chance they get. I mean, you see the pettiness all over the place. You can go on Twitter. Yeah, people. You go on Twitter. Let me check this out real quick. On Twitter, I think the president, let me see what he has. I think he has like 70 million people following him on Twitter. Let me check this out real quick. The president has, the president has 87 million followers on Twitter. But do you know, like, a good quarter to a third of the people following the president are leftists? And these people are so petty that as soon as he tweets, they're literally following him, so that as soon as he tweets, they can be right there giving it to the president. The president talks about, great economic news. Oh, yeah? What about the 40 million people that don't have jobs because you did a terrible job with coronavirus? Oh, yeah? Oh, what about the 200,000 people that died? That's how petty this is. That's how petty it is. Could you imagine the situation if Obama was president? That's all I got to ask. Hey, that wasn't the end of the clip with Michael Che. Listen to the rest of this garbage.
Actually, maybe we should be more optimistic about this. I mean, there's two ways we can look at it. Either Trump's telling the truth and we finally have a cure for COVID, or Trump is lying and he's still going to die.
Wow, look at that.
I'm not going to say that's a win-win, but it's definitely not a lose-lose.
Wow, look at that. That is horrible. That is horrible. Look, I like laughing. I like having a good time. If it was funny, it was funny. But that's disgusting. That's disgusting. And no Republican would ever be able to get away with that. Not even close. Not even close. Moving on. It is time, because as we do on Mondays, not every Monday, but we're going to make sure we do it every Monday. It is time for a crime update. Let's go. Yeah! Oh, yes, it is, folks. Run for your lives. No! So, the crime update. So here we are, folks. Do you know, yet again, it was another beautiful weekend in Chicago. Just so lovely. The sky's blue. Lake Michigan's looking crystally clear and delicious and beautiful. Oh, yeah, but at the same time, 53 people got shot. Damn. 53 people got shot. Now, how do you even put that into context? It would be shocking if 2 people got shot. 53 people. What are you just walking around just blasting people? Pop, pop, pop. I mean, that's like, damn. I mean, that's like at least, what, a person an hour getting shot over the weekend? Yeah, about a person an hour. Huh, JJ? Jesus Christ. 53 people. 50 people got shot, 53 people. And unfortunately, 5 were killed. Another glorious weekend in Chicago. But you know it's the president's fault. Right? The president's dead if he do, and he's dead if he doesn't. Right? That's the situation we're talking about. The media completely hides all the destruction that's happening in Chicago, all the destruction that's happening in Portland, in Seattle, until the poll numbers come out. The poll numbers come out. Uh-oh. The soccer moms. Uh-oh. The independents. They don't like this. This is horrible. Ah, yes. And now here comes Joe Biden. Yes, we have to stop the violence. Violence isn't the way. And the only reason we're having violence is because the president hasn't disavowed white supremacy. Wait, are you suggesting Antifa and Black Lives Matter are white supremacists? The president doesn't want to do anything about this. He wants to see cities burning to the ground because it will help him politically. Didn't the president offer to send in the National Guard and other federal troops to help stop these riots and murders and looting? But then the Democrats are just able to shift, just completely change the subject and say the president is fomenting hate. We heard a couple of days ago there was a kidnapping attempt thwarted by the FBI. It was a kidnapping attempt on Governor Gretchen Whitmer. And of course, the guy who was trying to kidnap her, he was part of a militia. And of course, militia, those are definitely white supremacists. Those are definitely Trump supporters. Until we find out, this guy hated Trump. If you go all over his social media, we're not going to mention his name. We're never going to mention terrorists. We're never going to mention their names because they don't deserve to have a platform. But all over his social media, this guy can't stand the president. Now the media has egg on their face because they were holding out hope that this guy was a big-time MAGA supporter. They're hoping to go into his house and find a bunch of Make America Great Again hats. Didn't happen, folks. And of course, if the president wasn't spewing hate, we wouldn't be here today. You know, it's funny. I had a clip prepared on that point about white supremacy because the media, even today, the media keeps suggesting that the president has not disavowed white supremacists, the KKK, the Proud Boys, and I told you about the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys are not a white supremacist organization. You know, it's really difficult to square with the idea that they're a white supremacist organization when half their members are blacks and half their members are Hispanic. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I put together this little montage of about, 20 or 30 times when the president disavowed white supremacy and the KKK. So when you hear the media say the president hasn't done so, they're lying.
Totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke.
When you say the party is self-destructing, what do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined.
There it is.
A bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party.
So are you prepared right now to make a clear and unequivocal statement renouncing the support of all white supremacists?
Of course I am. Of course I am.
Times do I have to reject? I've rejected David Duke. I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan.
About the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Over and over and over again.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
There it is, folks. How many times must the president disavow white supremacy? Now, the question is, why do the media keep asking him to do this? Why does the media continue to bring this up? Because every time they can get the president to disavow it, it makes it seem as if the president's supporters are white supremacists, that the president's supporters are the KKK. But I ask you, when you're looking at all the violence that's happening in the United States, how many of those people are Trump supporters? How many of those people are white supremacists? And how many of those people are members of the KKK? It's a distraction. Because then now Joe Biden never has to condemn Antifa. In fact, he was able to get away with calling Antifa an idea more than an organization. I mean, geez, I guess an idea is worth hundreds of millions of dollars because that's how much money Antifa has received. The same thing with Black Lives Matter, an organization that doesn't give a shit about black lives. 20 times at least the president has come out against white supremacy and the KKK. But there's more to the crime update. Right here in New York, according to the New York Post, bands of shoplifters are terrorizing Soho's high-end boutiques, lifting hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of designer merchandise, and in some cases threatening security guards to keep quiet. You better not fucking say nothing about us taking these sneakers. You know something bad's gonna happen to you. I got your number, bro. You better keep quiet, or else, I'll go to the media and call your ass a racist, by the way. The disturbing pattern began in late May during the riots that rocked the city in the wake of the George Floyd police custody death. High-end Celine was looted of $1.5 million of merchandise. Then the blatant thievery continues every week in ritzy stores such as Prada, Montclair, Dior, and Balenciaga. One plugged-in local said. Now, mind you, remember, AOC says that they have to rob Celine and Balenciaga and Montclair because these people got to put food on the tables. So you got to rob the high-end stores in order to survive. Don't you know that? I mean, don't be a racist. I mean, look, these companies have insurance. So it's not really thievery if the business can just file an insurance claim and get the money back, right? They don't need the money. These are businesses that are worth billions of dollars. I got to go back to the hood and back to the projects, with with my whip that got, 26-inch rims on it. I gotta pay for that whip somehow. I gotta put gas in the car. I can't keep walking around with $5 worth of gas. Come on now. Damn. This is happening every week. Walk around Soho on Worcester Street and Green Street and Mercer Street. You have huge bouncers out there trying to deter hit and run activity, the source said. But in some cases, the thieves are given carte blanche to steal. What? If they, the store personnel, stop them and say anything in the store before they've left the building, then it often gets turned into a racial accusation. Oh, yes, there it is. Now, they've been doing this for years. This is the thing that's kind of fucked up about the black community. Again, I talked about this last week. It's better to make sure blacks don't look bad rather than looking at the issues that we face. Oh, no. Don't talk about all the crime that happens in the black community. Don't do that. That's racist, you idiot. Don't talk about the fact that blacks represent 13% of the population, but represent 50% of the prison population. No. Don't say that. Don't talk about the millions of little black babies at home with no fathers there, including my house when I was growing up. No. Don't talk about that. That's racist. Don't dare tell a black kid to pull his pants up. Why are you going to walk around showing your ass? Oh, don't do that. That's racist. Don't you know? Don't walk around with tank tops in the middle of winter. That doesn't make any sense. Don't say that because you're a racist. These people have seen what the media is doing today. Any incident with a black person and a white person, it must be racial. If you have a white clerk working at Balenciaga trying to stop this little thug from taking 20 grand worth of shit, oh, no. See, the clerk is racist. You see that? He tries to protect this store. That's racism. That's how the media will play it. God forbid. Oh, God forbid. God forbid. Any of these employees from the store call the cops. Oh, then now you've opened up a whole can of worms. Because that's the underlying premise you're getting from the left today. See, if you call the cops on a little black thug, you are putting that thug's life in danger. It is worse that you called the cops than highlighting the crime that was just committed. I saw a story last week, couldn't believe it. And Slate Magazine's a leftist rag, so you can't expect anything articulate to come out of that magazine. But now, if you walk into the store that George Floyd tried passing off counterfeit bills at, if you walk into that store and buy anything, you have the whole neighborhood chasing you down because you would dare patronize that establishment. Anybody that walks into that store, you are contributing to more deaths of black people. A while back, I read you an article in the New York Times. We have a guy who has a gun pulled on him. A gun. His life was threatened. And he felt guilty because he called the damn cops. Liberalism is a mental disorder. The brands tell their employees to just walk away, the insider said. They don't want to be the next Instagram video claiming that they are a racist brand. And you know the sad thing is too, because that would be the message. Because the store clerk decided, listen, I'm going to call the cops. Hey, listen, you better put that back or you're going to get in trouble. Now that person's going to get doxxed. There's going to be some idiot. Yeah, I went to school with that person. Yeah, that's Michael from school. Yeah. Michael, whatever his name, Michael Calloway. That's his name. And then now Michael Calloway's shit is going to be all over the internet. He's going to get death threats. You know, his parents are going to be harassed. The store is going to be called to release this guy, to fire this guy because he's such a racist. All before anybody knows what actually happened. When the real video comes out and we see that this little black thug was robbing 20 grand worth of shit from Balenciaga, the damage would have already been done. Mr. Calloway would be on his way home. Soho store managers, especially those employed by national retailers, remained tight-lipped for fear of the R word. Reprisal. I thought they were going to say R word racist. But no, reprisal. Bad publicity or tarnishing their brand, the source said. NYPD Sergeant Joseph Imperatrice, wow, that's a good name, founder of Blue Lives Matter NYC, told the Post that investigators are aware that mobs of young transient groups have bulldozed through aisles, grabbing as much as they can hold in their arms. A law enforcement source confirmed that dozens of larcenies have occurred in recent months in high-end establishments in the neighborhood. The source said victimized stores include Adidas, Fendi, and also Burberry. Very good taste, by the way. Very good taste. Man. The subjects create a stir and grab as much merchandise as they can, confident they're not going to face resistance or consequences. It's a lucrative business. In the latest incident, thieves plundered Montclair on Prince Street, which sells down jackets for nearly $2,000. In the first incident, 2 individuals grabbed nearly 2 dozen down jackets. A few hours later, thieves snatched more than $50,000 in merchandise and sped off in a white Jaguar and a black Audi. Damn! No wonder they got to rob. If I'm driving around in a Jaguar and an Audi, I got to pay for that somehow, right? Another source claimed that 16 to 20 people were involved in the second incident, and the heist included a lookout. On September 30th, 3 males entered French label Celine on Worcester Street at about 12:50 p.m. and took more than 37 large worth of merchandise and then fled again in a dark Audi with New Jersey plates, the law enforcement source said. Some fed-up shops are now helping cops by giving descriptions and providing stories. We got to be careful with the descriptions. You're gonna say, "Oh, it was a male. He was skinny, maybe 6 feet tall, maybe curly hair." That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Sophia Berkery, 29, a manager at Louis Vuitton, a little French lingo, on Green Street, said they keep their exit door locked to short-circuit young kids who are grabbing and running. On October 2nd, the NYPD arrested a Manhattan man apparently addicted to Prada. Ronald Howard, 34, was charged with 3 counts of grand larceny for allegedly lifting nearly $12,000 worth of Prada merchandise from the Broadway boutique. Howard was back on the street after being issued a desk appearance. Remember, if you commit crimes, you get to go home the same day, right? Commit a crime after breakfast, be home for dinner. What a great deal. I got to get down on that. Citywide grand larcenies have fallen 7% through October 3rd, but we see a massive uptick. The NYPD works to prevent all kinds of thefts, including commercial burglaries and grand larcenies, yada, 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 yada. And the precincts, our neighborhood coalition officers, are personal points of contact with the community who can help when merchants are experiencing issues with crime and quality of life offenses. Liberalism is indeed a mental disorder. But of course, the president is the one responsible for roving mobs of thugs robbing Louis Vuitton. In Portland, protesters have now toppled statues of Teddy Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln in, quote, a day of rage. A day of rage in Portland. It never ends, folks. Oh, boy. I mean, this is come on. A group of protesters toppled statues of former presidents Theodore Roosevelt and Abe Lincoln. Police declared the event a riot and ordered people rampaging through the city's streets to disperse, but did not directly intervene until nearly an hour after the first statue fell. Protest organizers have promoted the event on social media as an Indigenous Peoples Day of Rage. Because, yes, remember, Columbus is a racist bastard. He's a white supremacist, slavery, yada, 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 yada. So what we got to do is, we can't talk about Columbus Day. We got to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, First Nations Day, Native American Suck Me Off Day. All these things, because these people are truly sick. Listen, man, come on, give me a break. Columbus? How long has Columbus been dead? Jesus, freaking, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Okay, so what? Who cares? Is Columbus affecting your life today? If Columbus discovered the free world, you should be thanking him. Because I can tell you right now, if I was in Ethiopia, okay, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't have the quality of life I have right now. All right, so if Columbus was responsible for bringing Western culture to these shores that would eventually be known as the United States, I'm going to thank Columbus. It's amazing what the liberal media does, how they've turned Native Americans into these innocent little people. Native Americans, how they were able to expand certain tribes were able to expand their territory by killing other tribes. Oh, yeah, we don't talk about that. You think about the Native American, look at that. He looks over the land, right? He looks over the Grand Canyon, and a little tear just streams down his cheek because the white man is destroying the environment. Yes, the organizers had signaled their aggressive stance for the night, calling for direct action and demanding that that video live streamers and photographers who had become staples of the event to stay away. They wanted them to stay away because if video got out, toppling statues of dear old Teddy Roosevelt and Honest Abe, maybe people ain't gonna like that. A group of around 200 strong marched through downtown Portland and at one point occupying all 4 lanes of West Burnside Street. Most dressed in head-to-toe black as usual. Many wore body armor and carried shields and wielded nightsticks and other weapons. Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. See, folks, this is this is why I said, you can't. I am concerned about the future of this country for sure. But at the end of the day, listen, the most minor pushback against the left, and they crumble like cheap seats. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's funny. Interestingly enough, do you want to know why the left is really scared? You want to know why they're going to continue to pour out all of this death and destruction until we get to November? Because we have new reports that the president's enthusiasm is surging. Now, you see, that's a little bit of a disconnect, isn't it? We heard last week the media tries to claim Joe Biden is up by 12, 13, 14 percentage points. But then we start looking at some of the things that actually matter, like enthusiasm. In the New York Post, it was mind-boggling, said Charles Ryan. I'm out of my boat. There's thousands of people. Every one of them has this big smile. I've never seen such happiness. It was infectious. 4 flags fluttered from the stern of Ryan's runabout on September 5th as he motored through New Jersey's Bernegott Bay. One of them says, Trump, no more bullshit. I'm not into flying anything too vulgar, he says. As Ryan's boat joined at least 2,000 other watercraft for the Trump Law and Order boat parade, the same scene was playing out in dozens of harbors, rivers, and lakes from the Jersey Shore to San Diego that Labor Day weekend. 1 week later, on September 12th, more than 16,000 cars, pickups, motorcycles, and semis festooned with banners and bunting jammed Cincinnati's I-275 Beltway in a convoy that looped through 3 states. One of several Trump car caravans being organized on Facebook. Public displays of exuberant affection for Trump have been building for months now, but they reached a fervent new pitch when the president came down with COVID-19. As hundreds of well-wishers gathered outside Trump's hospital suite at Walter Reed Medical Facility, New Yorkers, too, took to the streets. More than 700 decorated vehicles converged on Albany on October 3rd in a parade to honor the ailing president. In Staten Island, 2,500 Trump fans filmed a raucous get-well message that racked up 6 million views on Twitter. On Fifth Avenue, Trump supporters drove a contingent of flag-flying trucks to stage an impromptu rally outside Trump Tower. Enthusiasm for Trump among his voters is historically high, said Richard Barris, the director of the Big Data Poll. We saw that very early on in the cycle in his primary vote totals, when the president drew unusually large voter turnout in uncontested races. Meanwhile, Biden's enthusiasm level is at historically low levels. So low, the Democrats run the risk of replaying 2016, he said. Just 46% of Biden voters in a recent Pew poll said they strongly support him, compared to 66% of the president's base. Rank and file Democrats are sounding the alarm. I look out over my Biden sign in my front yard and I see a sea of Trump flags and yard signs. Pennsylvania voter Susan Connors told Biden worriedly at a CNN-sponsored town hall. Experienced political hands have a saying, yard signs don't vote, and research appears to bear that out. In 2016, political signage increases vote share by a mere 1.7%. That might be true. But many of the same people who are suggesting that the president is down by 16 points are showing that they are truly indeed worried that the poll numbers are not telling the whole story about the president's base. Well, in 22 days, we'll be able to prove that point. My goodness. The left never quits. The left never quits. Now, this is ridiculous, by the way. Haven't we been told many times before I've said it many times here. We have to follow the science, right? Follow the science, follow the science. Listen to the experts, listen to the experts. Until the experts say things that doesn't work for the Democrat narrative. Today, the World Health Organization has announced that, lockdowns might not be the best way to fight COVID-19. This at the time, remember, Joe Biden said, if the experts say we got to lock down, then I'm going to listen to the experts. Why hasn't Trump called for a national lockdown, even though we're like 7-8 months into the coronavirus? The president doesn't care about people's lives. Now we have the World Health Organization saying that perhaps this could have been more problematic than any of the good that it did. Listen to this clip. This is from Dr. What's this guy's name, by the way? I never know this guy's name. I should write this down. I have written it down, by the way. I can't figure it out. But anyway, this is the doctor from the World Health Organization. And check this out.
But we had Professor Sunetra Gupta from Oxford University on, and she was implying, and I'm interested in you because you have a global mandate, a global view, was that a problem we don't think about in lockdowns is that they're very nationalistic. That if we lock down our economy, then it hits our economy. But it also means we are not buying stuff. We're not trading with weaker economies. We are not just destroying our own jobs, we're destroying the jobs of all those that in the poorer parts of the world that export to us. That seemed to me to be a reasonable point.
Here we go.
Really important point by Professor Gupta. I want to say it again. We in the World Health Organization.
The doctor's name is David Nabarro. David Nabarro, there it is.
Do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means of control of this
Whoa,
virus.
did you hear that? I'm going to rewind that. Listen to that again. This is stunning.
Really important point by Professor Gupta. I want to say it again. We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means of control of this virus. The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is to buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your health workers who are exhausted. But by and large, we'd rather not do it. Just look at what's happened to the tourism industry, for example, in the Caribbean or in the Pacific, because people aren't taking their holidays. Look what's happened to smallholder farmers all over the world because their markets have got dented.
Wow.
Look what's happening to poverty levels. It seems that we may well have a doubling of world poverty by next year. We may well have at least a doubling of child malnutrition because children are not getting meals at school. And
I mean, this is stunning stuff. Did you hear this? But remember, we were told that if we mentioned anything about the economic ramifications of lockdowns, if we mentioned the mental toll of lockdowns, the increase in depression and drug use and alcoholism and suicides, if we mention any of those things, we are the ones that are uncaring. We are the ones that are now COVID-19 deniers. The World Health Organization finally is saying the obvious, that lockdowns have been more bad than good.
Their parents in poor families are not able to afford it. This is a terrible, ghastly global catastrophe, actually. And so we really do appeal to all world leaders. Stop using lockdown as your primary control method.
My God.
Develop better systems for doing it. Work together and learn from each other. But remember, lockdowns just have one consequence that you must never, ever belittle, and that is making poor people an awful lot poorer.
Whoa, that is stunning. That is absolutely stunning. Now, I want to see whether Twitter is going to take down that video. I want to see whether Instagram is going to take down video, because this is a representative. This is a spokesperson, a doctor from the World Health Organization speaking for the World Health Organization. Lockdowns have contributed to people dying. Lockdowns have made people poorer. Lockdowns have had a disgusting effect on people's mental health. Now you see why this election is so consequential. Many of Joe Biden's advisors want to continue the lockdowns. Here in New York, Andrew Cuomo has announced, guess what? More lockdowns. When will it all end? What the media is not telling you is, yes, we've had more cases go up. Yes, that's true. More cases, but we have not seen an increase in the death rates. That's what the facts and that's what the science says. Do you think we can handle as a country another lockdown? A lockdown that is not based off of the scientific facts and evidence. Can we afford that? I don't think so. Just remember that when we go to the polls in 22 days, Joe Biden wants more lockdowns. That's it for today. I thank you guys for joining us. If you're listening to us if you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe, smash the like button. If you're listening to us on the podcast, wherever you get your finer podcasts, please be sure to like and subscribe there. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you again on Wednesday. Take care.
Thanks for listening to The Keith Lee Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget the website at www.thekeithleeshow.com.